Leadership is not measured only by what you build, but by who is stronger because you showed up. And sometimes the most powerful leadership moments are not the ones on the stage, in the spotlight, or attached to a title. They're the moments when you make room for someone else to grow. Tonight, we're talking about why development is a leadership responsibility. This is a 30. Let's get it started. Well, hello there, gang. Welcome to the 30. It's glad to have you here. There's always something going on in the background. Just got to note that I guess there's no picture on LinkedIn. Looks like there's something there now. But thank you for joining us. Remember to like and share this episode. If you are watching us from YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Looks like nothing is going on LinkedIn, but we're here. We're definitely here. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and go ahead and drop a comment. Drop a comment so that we know that you are there. Thank you once again for joining us on this episode of the 30. This morning, I had the opportunity to be in a room with some outstanding young men from our community through a program called Go Beyond. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Jeff Wynn for inviting me there. What stood out to me was not just the energy in the room, it was the purpose of the room. There were mentors, leaders, entrepreneurs, sports coaches, guests like myself, and professionals that were there, not just simply to be present, but to make themselves available to these young men, to answer questions, to share wisdom, to build connections, and to help create opportunities. Folks, and as I watch these young men move around the room, introducing themselves, asking thoughtful questions and engaging with others, one thought kept coming back to me. See, sometimes when we think about leadership, sometimes we focus on the vision, we focus on performance, we focus on outcomes, we focus on responsibility, and all of those things matters. They're very important. But leadership also carries another responsibility, and that is to help and develop other people. And that's what we're talking about today in this episode of the 30, is development. See, in our leadership training at the Jackman Group, one main question that we ask our leaders in all of our training, and sometimes when we coach, we ask them one thing. What is the key role of a leader? Leaders have many different roles, but what is the key role of a leader of impact and an effective leader? And here's the answer. The answer is to develop others for greater in skill and ability. To develop others for greater in skill and ability. See, if people are connected to your life, to your leadership, to your team, to your organization, to your influence, then development cannot be an afterthought. Folks, development is not a side effect. It's not a side thing. It's not an afterthought of leadership. It is the assignment. It is the key role of you taking the responsibility to develop leaders. See, impact and exceptional leaders don't ask, what am I building? What am I achieving? What am I leading? They ask, who? They ask, who am I helping grow? Who am I making room for? Who will be stronger because I showed up? Who will be stronger because I am there? I am in the room. Not the how, not the what, but the how. That matters even more when we're talking and engaging with young people, with young adults, because sometimes all it takes is one room, one conversation, one connection, one encouraging word, one prayer, one person willing to engage, and something opens up in that person, especially if it's a young adult. Something happens. Something happens in older adults, but in young people, something greatly happens. There was someone that said this morning that they never heard their parents, never heard someone says, I love you, until they were an adult. And some leader, someone that was a mentor told them, I love you. And that opened up the world to them. And that's one of the things that stuck with me this morning. And it was what these young men experience. Folks, it wasn't just an event, and it was 2 hours. We started around 11:45, and so it was 2 hours plus, and we finished at 2 o'clock. But what these young men received was greater than just an event. It was exposure, it was access, it was connection, and it was possibility. See, when leaders intentionally invest in others, several things begin to happen. See, people begin to see what's possible. They begin to ask better questions. They begin to imagine themselves differently. And maybe just as important, they begin to realize that they belong in the rooms that they may not have pictured themselves in before. It's about exposure. It's about being around other people. And I know that firsthand. Coming from a small island, right? Coming to this great country of ours. But not only that, being exposed to others, being in the room and seeing the possibility of people like, in terms of my color, even some with accents like me, people that had to dream like me, because I always had a dream, I always had a goal, I always had the passion and the goal Let's go. Let's make it happen. But I didn't have the examples. When I got into certain rooms, it created something different in me. I remember I was involved with a business opportunity, and I remember hearing the guy that was super successful. And at the time, I was pretty young. I had, imagine if you may, I had a full head of hair, and I had a not a I think it was a goatee at the time. It was a goatee, so mustache and connect, right? So goatee. And I heard this one person said to me, was super successful, and he didn't say it just to me. He said it to everyone in the room, and he said to me, "People will do business if they trust you, they know you, they believe in you." And for men, especially those that are clean shaven, they're not threatened by you. Now, this was way back when, right? So what did I do? I went home, I shaved everything off, and I said, I'm going to be like this guy. So he gave us some keys, and one of the keys was to be clean shaven because people trust and believe in you. Now, again, this was years ago. That was just me believing that. So you don't have to do that, but that was for me. So when I went home and I called my mom and I told her that, she was like, "What are you doing that for? At least keep the mustache." And I said, "Nope, I'm going clean shaven because this guy, he said it, he was super successful, and I want to be in rooms just like him." So that was for me. And I don't know about you. What is your story? So it was part of today was really having the guys, the young men, ask questions. And in the room, I'm telling you, there were men from all different backgrounds, successful in their own right. But it wasn't about that. It wasn't about who we were or who we are. See, that's what leadership can do when we are there for others and not for ourselves. See, leadership can widen vision. Leadership can create opportunity. Leadership can reduce distance between where someone is and what they can become. What I loved about this morning, as I said, the room was not built around ego. It wasn't about what we have or what we had. It wasn't about who had the biggest title or the loudest presence. And as I said, and there were some powerful men. I talked to a couple of guys that were super successful, very successful men in their own right. Some had multiple businesses. Some were sports coaches. Some were non-for-profit successes, very successful men. But it wasn't about that. It was about us showing up in a way that made development possible. It was us being there for the young men. And that's where this really becomes a leadership issue. Because development doesn't just happen because we care about people. It happens because we decide to make room for it. That's what it's all about. That's where it happens. It's about connection, exposure. It's about relationship. It's about having a conversation. That's what it's all about. One of the things we as leaders have to recognize is this. A couple of things. See, not everyone has equal access, and we know that. Not everyone has been exposed to the same rooms, the same conversations, have the same encouragement, the same examples. But that means leaders like yourself, like myself, who do have access, who do have influence and insight, we carry a real responsibility, not just to succeed, but to reach back, to open doors, to make introductions, and to give perspective. To what I say, young person, a young man or young woman, their name, and actually listen to their answer. What are their goals? Where do they see themselves going? They may not know how to do goals, how to create goals. They may not have a goal, but it's our responsibility to help them. It's our responsibility to listen to them, listen to what they have to say, because development is often deeply relational. And you've heard me talk about that in the last series, relational leadership. You've heard me talk about that. But relational leadership is important. It happens through trust, through time and over time, through your consistent presence, and through moments that say, I see you, I love you, I believe in you, don't give up, keep going. And that doesn't only apply to young people, young men, young women. That applies to those that are entrusted in our care. This applies to your team members, to your staff, to emerging leaders, to those people inside of our organizations who are capable of more, but need someone to help draw it out. To those who you see, you believe in, but they need that extra encouragement. They need that prayer. They need to have someone believe in them. That's what we are called to do. See, that's one of the reasons this matters so much to me personally, to our team. And that's one of the reasons that we do the work we do at the Jackman Group, LLC, to help develop leaders, to help enhance teams, to help organizations go from where they are to where they should be. It's not about what we do, it's about who we engage. It's personal to me, it's personal to our team, it's personal to our organization. Because our goal, our mission, our mantra is to help others, to take them from where they are to where they desire to be, to accomplish the calling that they've been called to. And that's why we at our organization do the things that we do. That's exactly why we develop programs like the MPACT Leaders Spring 2026 Leadership Development Experience. And we use or utilize these programs to help build leaders, emerging leaders, to build teams. See, the MPACT Leaders is something that we care deeply about, because leadership development is just not about helping people perform better. It's about helping people grow stronger in how they lead, how they think, how they connect, and how they show up for others. So MPACT Leaders Spring 2026 Development Experience runs from April 14th through May 12th. And that's an in-person, this is an in-person experience here in Rochester, New York. So if you are in Rochester, New York, if you're in Syracuse, if you're in Buffalo, if you're in Monroe County, reach out to us. Click on the link that's in our description. Go check for more information, but more importantly, register. Register. See, it's designed to create intentional space for growth, learning, challenge, support, and development. Because real development doesn't happen by accident. It happens when leaders make time for it. It happens when people commit to themselves, commit to their own development. And it happens when we treat growth as something worth investing in. It's not about cost, not about price, it's about investment. And you know, with investment, the ROI, you always get something back when you invest. It could be one thing, it could be 10 things. I guarantee you that when you attend, you will take something back that will help you to grow further. So if this morning remind me of one thing, it's this. Development changes people. And leaders have the privilege and the responsibility to be part of that. So as we prepare to end, you know, I always give you a reflection, what I call a reflection segment, something for you to think on, something for you to think about. So here's the question that I have for today that I want to leave you with on this episode. Who are you intentionally developing right now? I'll say that again. Who are you intentionally developing right now? Not just supporting, not just managing, not just encouraging from afar. Who are you helping to grow? And if the answer isn't clear yet, maybe that's where the work begins. Maybe you need to look at it some more and think about it, reflect on it. So as we close, I'll leave you with this. Leadership is full of these moments where we realize it's not just about us. It's not about our goals. It's not about our results or our next steps. It's also about who we're helping move forward. Friends, I want to thank you for watching this. I want to thank you for being part of the 30. Continue to lead with passion, with impact. Become the person that you're called to be. And remember, join the MPACT Leaders Spring 2026 Leadership Experience. The link is already in our description. If you need more information outside of that, you can contact us at info@jackmangroupllc.com. That's info@jackmangroupllc.com. That's about it. I hope this landed with you. I hope this helped spark something in you. I hope this was help you to think and consider helping others. Remember this: the key role of a leader is to develop others for greater in skill and ability. May God bless you and your family. We'll see you on another episode of The 30. Thank you so much.